Yo, welcome to my place. I'm your host, American Warhorse. So glad you could stop by and spend some time with me today. I know it's been a while since I've done an upload, and there are many reasons for that, some of which I will get into very shortly. But first and foremost, happy Mother's Day to all you terrific moms and grandmothers, and all you fine ladies who take care of children, take care of your household. Thank you so much for all that you do. And also, happy VE Day. I know I'm a couple of days late, but happy VE Day. Thank you to the greatest generation for enduring what you had to endure to bring us liberty and freedom, which sadly is under constant attack now. But that's another issue, which I will get into very shortly. But again, thank you to all you moms. I hope you have an enjoyable day. Every day should be Mother's Day. This is going to be a video just about my thoughts. I have no prepared notes. This is going to be the first year that Mother's Day will come and my mom's not here. She passed away in June of last year. And it's going to be a little weird. But she's in a much better place. It is what it is. And as far as not uploading lately, well, there's a couple of reasons for that. Because of this virus business, with the exception of a couple of days here and there, I have been essentially on duty along with the rest of the guys here since pretty much the first couple of days of March. It's been a long haul, and it was very distracting, and working every single day got to be something of a grind. So I don't want to say I didn't have the energy to do an upload, but I just didn't have the right focus. There were other things that needed to be done. And I was also dealing with some very deep personal losses, which kind of compounded everything. I lost a squadron mate a little while back. It's a good, very good man, very good man. So I mourned his passing for a little while. And there were other losses that I've been dealing with since pretty much late summer and fall of last year, and some other ones from earlier this year. So I apologize for not doing uploads, but quite frankly, it's been a bit of a distraction. This whole business with this virus has been something. Again, the purpose of this is not to go into a rant and a rave, because that's not what the purpose of the channel is. There are those of you watching this who I reached out to rant and rave. And I appreciate your time letting me do so. My personal thoughts are that this was a complete overreaction. I'm sorry, it was. The sad part is that 75 years ago was the conclusion in Europe of the European portion of World War II. My parents' generation fought for liberty and freedom. And along came this thing, and my personal observation is that we folded up like a house of cards blown down by a gentle breeze. And I'm not dismissing this business. Not dismissing it. Let's make that clear. I am not dismissing this. But we gave up without firing a shot. I'm not saying that people didn't get sick, and I'm not saying that people didn't die. But this whole thing was sketch and suspect almost from the beginning. I work in a hospital, as many of you know. And between that and things that I was reading, doing some basic research, I'm not saying that I'm a genius, but 2 and 2 was coming out to 5.5. And now the whole thing seems to be unraveling. The whole narrative seems to be unraveling. And we gave up our lives to what amounted to petty tyrants and blatant power grabs. It is no surprise, and I'm angry about it, but while this virus business was going on one hand, a lot of these petty tyrants tried to come in from the other way to slip in legislation to curtail our freedoms even further. And now we're waffling back and forth. Do we open? Do we not? I can go on and on and on, but I'm not going to do that. All I'm going to say, now this is going to be a surprisingly short upload. And like I said, this was just kind of spur of the moment. And I beg your pardon for not being more prepared, but these things have been weighing on my mind. And I felt like I had to say something. And also to honor those who I mentioned before. Sorry. But here's the bottom line, folks. We, as a nation and as individuals, have to begin, and we have begun, standing up for what's right. I do not discount those who are sick. Let's understand this. But we played into a narrative that in the long run is not beneficial to us. Now we come up with this, and I'm seeing this more and more, this Council of Public Safety or Office of Public Safety or some other such thing, which has taken it upon itself to regulate our movements, our freedoms, and that's not right. Nobody gave them that power. But we conceded to this. And we're still, in a lot of places, still locking us down. Why? The narrative is coming apart from the top down. More and more and more evidence is presented every single day that this almost was a test. Again, we'll say it again. It's not to discount the people that have gotten actually sick. You understand? It's not to discount that. But it seems to me this was almost like a test. See, to take something that's actually happening, never let a good crisis go to waste. But to take something and run with it, and look what's happening now. The mayor of Chicago, we're going to come after you. The governor of Illinois, dismissive of questioning reporters, not to mention particular platforms, social media platforms, taking it upon themselves to remove anything that's a dissenting voice, a questioning voice, and silencing those who will not toe the line. Scrubbing certain videos from the platform, from the various platforms. And you all know what I'm talking about. Any voice of dissension that goes counter to the narrative is being silenced. If we didn't have a wake-up call before, in my opinion, this is it right now. Our freedoms and our liberties were done away with in some cases by the stroke of a pen, and we just went along with it. And I'm sorry to see that. I know that this will probably be a very unpopular video. It's okay. This is just my thoughts and opinions. Probably won't get a lot of views. That's okay too. I'm not about view counts. I'm not about any of that stuff. But here's something. And those of you who know me, there's two books, one of which I have right here. My Bible. Okay? I rely on it for wisdom. I rely on it for knowledge. And the other one is the book, The U.S. Constitution and Other Writings. Well worth getting that book. Folks, be vigilant. This will not be the last of this. If you do the research, these events seem to happen every 3-4 years, depending. But these events are happening frequently. My question is, and you can settle it for yourself, is this a test run? Just asking a question. It's not to stir up fear. Mainstream media and everybody else did that for us. There are people who are scared to death to come outside, and that's a shame. Scared to death of their own shadows. One of my daughters expressed fear. But what's most insidious, oh, and by the way, I'm glad she expressed fear and we had to have a long talk. But one of the most disturbing things of what we're doing to these kids, first of all, and I'm going to say it, it doesn't bother me that I might offend somebody. Because school was done away with, And it was done away with. Kids are locked up with possibly abusive parents, abusive guardians, and nobody has said a thing about them. A lot of these kids, the only meals they get is breakfast or lunch at school. Now what? And you say, well, there are places and programs. Has anybody checked on them? Just because there are places doesn't mean that these kids are going to these places to like get food, like food banks and things like that. But most of all, how many domestic violence cases are not being reported? You're cooped up with probably abusive people. I'm just saying. Just saying. And nobody has said a word. And one of the other things that bothers me is what we're teaching our kids. Teaching our kids fear in a lot of cases. I was in line, this is anecdotal, but I was in line at a convenience store. Now, I'm sorry. I work in a hospital. I've been trained by some of the best people around, doctors and nurses who actually know what they're doing. I was trained by these people. I've got to go through training every 6 months to a year about pathogens and masks and, you know, procedures and everything. I spent a good deal of my time in training every year, sometimes every 6 months. So I've not worn a mask except to go into a patient's room. I'm just not, period, end of story. I'm standing in a line and I'm looking at these two kids who are basically in spacesuits almost. And they're looking at me like I am the biggest boogeyman you ever saw in your life. Now, I personally wasn't offended. What I was offended by, not offended, what bothered me was that these kids are learning fear. Fear is the normal. I'm just going to ask another simple question. Is that right? To teach kids about fear instead of using their heads to ask questions? Just asking. So, anyway, that's just a few thoughts. Again, I want to apologize for not doing uploads. This is going to be not a very good video, and I really don't care. I just want people to know that I'm okay. Even though I'm not invincible. I'm not invincible. But I'm okay. And I'm going to be okay. Because my faith is in God. It's that simple. But anyway, I hope to be doing more uploads quickly. Memo, if you're watching this, I haven't forgotten about that upload I want to do. It was intriguing, and I'm actually working on it, and I have my notes. I just got sidetracked by all of this business. And there are other uploads I want to do, and I will do. Plus, there are plans that I have for this channel in the near future. I'm getting back to a more normal schedule, whatever that is. But I haven't disappeared. I've just been distracted. So, anyway, happy Mother's Day again. And happy VE Day. And may you all stay blessed, and may you stay in church, either through video links or whatever. And may you take care of each other. Check on your neighbors. Talk to them, especially the older folks, okay? Because they're the ones really suffering right now. Not just for the illness, but because they've been cut off from society, because we decided to pack them away for their safety, which is not a bad thing, but that's suddenly a thing now. We're worried about our elders. Why wasn't this a thing for years? It takes an emergency like this to suddenly be concerned for our elders. Be that as it may, check on your neighbors, check on the elders. And may you all have a fine weekend, a fine week. May you stay strong, and may you keep the faith.